show in the air with me, Nivedna Prabhu. It is very obvious that Team India has clinched this one because मेरे जो cricket guest के जो अभी smiles है, it has of course, the prediction was that it's going to be Team India, but by 82 runs was quite a margin to be winning before T20I. इसका मतलब ये है it's going to be a super Sunday because now the series has been level. Before I get talking to the both of them, let's take a quick look at the summary of this particular match, and then I'll get questions from all of you as well to find out who are you most impressed with आज के match में. So here we have it. 169 is what India did put up. Dinesh Karthik, of course, we'll have so much to talk about him today. 55 of 27. Lungi, of course, on the other hand, Ngidi getting 2 for 20. But दूसरी तरफ 87 all out. Avesh Khan doing the job for Team India, where he got that 4 for 25. Of course, so much to be talking about Avesh Khan as well. Because a lot of questions was about the fact. I think we had our viewers talk about, why Avesh? Why were there no changes? Why not Arshdeep? When are you trying to run? But the discussion was in the pre-match analysis as well. The coach and the captain sometimes just know better why they're not getting any changes, and this is probably the result as to why that's happened. So first, let me come to my, emotional fan, like I call him, Chirag. Sabse pehle, you might be very happy with the result, but who are you most impressed with?
राइट आई मीन आप दिनेश कार्तिक को देखो, कमाल। दिनेश कार्तिक, हार्दिक पांड्या, अगर ये दोनों ना होते तो स्टोरी शायद अलग हो सकती थी। पर आप दिनेश कार्तिक को, मतलब उनकी जो स्टोरी रही है ना, बिल्कुल एक ब्लॉकबस्टर फिल्म की तरह रही है। अभी देखो एकदम से कमबैक करा। आईपीएल में किसी को उम्मीद नहीं थी कि वो इतना अच्छा करेंगे, पर वो कुछ और ही माइंडसेट के साथ आए थे और धमाकेदार इनिंग्स खेली। और अभी वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका, मतलब पहला करियर का पहला हाफ सेंचुरी उन्होंने इस सीरीज में लगाया। तो आई मीन और इस एज में लगाना, आई थिंक वो सबसे ओल्डेस्ट प्लेयर है जिन्होंने वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका हाफ सेंचुरी की है। तो जितनी तारीफ करो उतना कम। और हार्दिक पांड्या का कमबैक टीम इंडिया के लिए अच्छा साइन है। T20 वर्ल्ड कप आ रहा है, हार्दिक पांड्या सुपर फिट, बॉलिंग कर रहे हैं, बैटिंग कर रहे हैं, मतलब इससे अच्छा और क्या ही हो सकता है। ऑलराउंडर्स भर चुके हैं, ऑप्शन इतने सारे हैं इंडिया के पास। और आवेश खान, देखो बैकिंग का फायदा होता है। आवेश खान को बैक करा। आज हम बात कर रहे थे कि उनकी जगह शायद किसी और को खिला सकते हैं, पर उन्हें बैक करा। अगर उनकी जगह कोई और खेलता तो ये वाला परफॉर्मेंस निकल कर ना आता। मतलब 18 रन देकर 4 विकेट्स उन्होंने लिए। तो आई मीन तारीफ करनी होगी। इंडिया की टीम एफर्ट था। और अभी राहुल द्रविड़ भी उनके साथ नहीं है, और फिर मतलब ये टीम जानती है कैसे फाइट बैक करना है। तो कमाल, मतलब जितनी तारीफ करो उतना कम।
It seems like a fan, a Team India fan, all those boxes have been checked with this, clinical performance by them. Lekin दूसरी तरफ it's also quite extra special because Avesh was saying कि उनके dad का birthday था, so probably this is the best gift that he could give his dad today. Coming to you, Pratyay, of course. First, let's talk about the fact that, let's also have the performances of both Dinesh Karthik and Hardik Pandya on our screens for our viewers. And I'll come to you, Pratyay, first on that to kind of summarize the intent, the quality of cricket that both of them put up today. What are your biggest takeaways from the way Dinesh Karthik has really emerged now?
Well, I think ever since the start, I mean, right from the IPL, one thing that we have been constantly hearing from DK is that he wants to be on the plane to Australia. He wants to be a part of that team, the World Cup team. And right now, he's right on course of being a part of that team. Because at this moment, if you are making a team, after the captain, the first name perhaps that you are going to write can very well be of DK. I mean, if you're talking about the certainties in your squad, you're talking about your captain, maybe Jasprit Bumrah, and if the third name has to be written, probably it could very well be DK. And that is down to the kind of performances he has given in the IPL. Today, again, we were discussing that, I mean, we were talking about how it's a very high scoring venue, but this was by no means a regulation track that you have at Rajkot, because the bounce was a little uneven. It was a tacky sort of a surface. और जो भी हमने देखा जिस भी तरीके से, because there was grip and turn for the spinners as well. और जो घास थी उसकी वजह से I think there was a little bit of a spongy sort of a bounce that even the commentators were discussing, and that was very evident because it was not one of those tracks where you were getting the ball very well onto the bat. So India struggled. I mean, 54, 55, 56 runs at the halfway mark. So was the case with South Africa. Even they were there. Now in these kind of conditions, scoring 55 or 27, he made batting looks like, I mean, he always, whenever he gets going, it's like he makes it look like it's the easiest job in the world. And on this track, that kind of a knock, it's absolutely superlative. I mean, look at the strike rate, 9 fours, 2 sixes. So, I mean, no words would be sufficient to define what kind of an effort it was. Because at the halfway mark, none of us could have thought that India 170 के आसपास भी पहुंचेगा. Probably it was एज इट टर्न्स आउट कि शायद 100 रन भी पर्याप्त होते क्योंकि 87 पे उन्होंने रोक लिया साउथ अफ्रीका को. बट इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ विनिंग टोटल, it started to look like that maybe 140 150 would be enough, but getting those 20 30 runs, those additional runs, could very well be the difference between the two sides. And that is what the innings of Dinesh Karthik and Hardik Pandya did. So I think he's absolutely on course, and I will I mean, in my team he's definitely in for the World Cup.
All right, so we already started making predictions for that big campaign. It also means the competition is a lot more to see who would ultimately make it, to the squad. But let's take a look at Hardik Pandya's performance. If I could ask my producer to show us that performance as well. 46 runs, three fours and three sixes. He's of course come back from that fabulous IPL win as well. But like Chirag said, in terms of looking at that performance of his today. It's also good to see the comeback mode that Hardik has, and also with the bowling as well. So I think everybody can really breathe now, because last year we were unable to see that aspect of it. But both of them have given their say about whatever has transpired with both these power pack performances. But let's talk about the captain a little bit as well. Now, on one hand, of course, let's analyze that series is leveled, which is good. It is a collective, way that things came together today, like Chirag, pointed out, whether it's from the batting end or the bowling end. This is one particular tweet. If our, producer could bring that out by what RP Singh had tweeted, and I'll come to you, Pratyay, on this one before I go to Chirag, with the fact that Pant is so destructive in tests, but the same kind of display is missing in T20. Why is the question? And also his way of getting out, right? The dismissal as well.
Hmm.
Your take on that?
Absolutely. See, I think the problem with Rishabh Pant, I mean, he is unarguably one of the most discussed players. I mean, anywhere where you're talking about Rishabh Pant is a matter of discussion right now for all the right reasons, because he's a young player, he's very dynamic, he's a left-hander, he's a wicket keeper, he's captaining the side. So there's a lot that is riding on him. But the thing is that I mean, he's 24, so he's young. You want to back players. Correctly mentioned by Chirag that had Avesh Khan not been a part of the team today, because at the end of the day, you see that Rahul Dravid and the Indian team management had the last laugh. All of us wanted changes. All of us wanted Arshdeep. All of us wanted Umran, but they kept backing the players. And we know what has happened with backing the players. We have seen that. I mean, it's a long history where we have seen a lot of players getting backed and turning out to be match winning players. The
Right.
problem with Pant, I think, is only that even a graphic that was shown today during the match by the broadcasters, it showed that last 9 or 10 of his dismissals have been all very similar. So, I mean, he has kind of exposed himself. He has kind of given the opponents a viewpoint that how can you expose him? How can you actually get him out? There's a clear plan that the bowler would come and bowl him wide out outside the off stump, and he will probably go for a hoik and will end up giving a catch on the offside. Even in
Right.
this series, if you were to actually dissect all his dismissals, every single time, 4 games on the trot, he has been dismissed the same
Hmm.
way. So the answer to the why, as per me, is that in test format, perhaps we have seen him doing mistakes, but there he was learning from those mistakes and not repeating the same mistakes. You're of course allowed to make mistakes. You're of course allowed to make new mistakes, but if you keep on repeating the mistakes, it's not going to help your cause. And I
Right.
think that that is where it comes down to in this series. 4 times, if you're getting dismissed and you're still not being able to understand that opposition is trying to do this, then there has to be a problem. So I think that we have often discussed, I mean, there's a slight bit of stubbornness maybe about his play, that he does not want to probably change his attitude or his way about how he goes for his shots. This is a T20 format. Of course, you're allowed to play for your strokes. But as I said, that you have to also put in some sensibility when you're batting. I think that was lacking because, I mean, of course, his innings, his series with the bat has not been the best, but not learning from his mistakes is the biggest thing that he needs to learn and kind of rectify, because this is becoming a problem now. So before it becomes too big and before he has to pay the price of it, because he's the captain right now, of course he's going to get chances. But of course, in this team, in this competitive team, you can never take things for granted.
Also on a lighter note, it's like a little bit of deja vu, because at one point when Virat was captain and he was having all those dismissals, then you think whether captaincy is also added pressure. Now, whether it's for one series or not, you never know if that's an additional factor as well. Let's talk a little bit about a particular analysis from one of our viewers that's come in. Converse says Harshal is very effective if pitch is too paced with his variety of slower deliveries, pace is effective too. He's adjusting the tape on his thumb. Chirag, would you like to take this one and probably give your
I
take
mean,
to us?
हर्षल आप देखो पूरी सीरीज में इफेक्टिव रहे और इस मैच में वेरिएशंस के यूज करते हैं और बॉलर्स मतलब अभी जो बैटर्स को वो ये नहीं मतलब रहता कि ये एक ही लेंथ पे बॉल डालेंगे वहीं पे बॉल आने वाली है नहीं वो हर बार बैटर्स को कंफ्यूज करते हैं और सोचने पर मजबूर करते हैं कि अगली बॉल कैसे आने वाली है और हर्षल पटेल की स्पेशलिटी है अभी उन्होंने बोला भी था कि मेरे पास उमरान मालिक जैसा सॉरी पेस नहीं है ठीक है मैं
Right.
मानता हूँ पर उनके पास वेरिएशंस है और वो उस पर काम भी करते हैं एंड अब देखो टीम इंडिया में आई थिंक उनके पास सबसे ज्यादा वेरिएशंस है और मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी भी बॉलर के पास इतने वेरिएशन है जितने हर्षल पटेल के पास है और वो ये कई बार प्रूव भी कर चुके हैं और आई मीन हर बार ही करते हैं वैसे तो और उनका परफॉर्मेंस या वेरिएशंस हैं और हर्षल पटेल आई मीन टीम इंडिया के अभी ये कहना गलत नहीं होगा कि ट्रम्प कार्ड बन चुके हैं बॉलिंग में तो वो एक सरप्राइज पैकेज है जब भी आते हैं मिडिल ओवर्स में आप लगा लो चाहे डेथ ओवर्स में लगा लो वो हर जगह इफेक्टिव है
All right. This is of course about Team India's performance. Before we go on to talk about social tracker pe kya ho raha hai, let's talk a little bit about what went wrong for the South Africa side. Are they coming back to you? Of course, the captain was retired, hurt, leaving that aside. What really happened to a very confident-looking South African side?
See, I think it was a mix of two things. They were not able to apply themselves. I think, as I said, that we saw Indian top order struggling as well. So it wasn't a case that only South Africa struggled, but it was
Yeah.
because of the efforts of the brilliance of Dinesh Karthik and Hardik Pandya and that partnership, which infused momentum, which Indian innings lacked for at least as late as the 14th or 15th over. Because in the last 5 overs, if you're managing 70, 80 odd on any track, let alone
Yeah.
this one, because this was really tough to bat on. But if you're adding 70, 80 runs in the last 5 overs, you're giving yourself a great chance. That is what India ended up doing. So I think that where India actually, I mean, a run out to Quinton de Kock, I mean, in this kind of a track, when you are chasing a tricky sort of a total on a tricky sort of a surface, it's important for someone to hang in there from one end maybe, and the others can take their chance. The thing was that wickets kept on tumbling from both the ends, and kudos to the Indian bowlers. I mean, the way they bowled Avesh Khan, I mean, yes, the bulk of his wickets came in 1 over, but apart from him as well, I mean, the way the Indian bowlers applied right from the start, I think Chahal as well. The start of the series for him was not good, but in the last two games he has been really phenomenal. Today as well, in the previous game as well, 3 wickets for him in the last game, so he has gotten amongst the wickets again. Harshal Patel again delivering. So I think it was a mix of two things that Indian bowlers really kind of applied the strange hold and managed to kind of just pick them up by their necks and as well as the track, because as I said that it was not easy, and probably after 20 overs of cricket on that it slowed down even further, because towards the end of innings, if you see when DK or Hardik were batting, of course it was their batting brilliance as well, but towards the end it was feel like that the ball had started to suddenly come on the bat. They were kind of being able to play their strokes more freely, but that never kind of happened. So I think, I mean, when you are bowled out for 87, just kind of speaks for itself. So I think that is where things went wrong for them. And from a series perspective, I think it's a good thing, not just from an Indian fans point of view, but I think that otherwise, I mean, if South Africa would have clinched this one, then 3-1, the last game, kind of, the result. Even if India wins, it's still 3-2. So I think from the series perspective, this was the best possible result.
All right, and also that means that, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's going to be a super Sunday because it is the decider ultimately. And abhi competition mein zyada maza aayega. There's a comment that Rao Asif has saying that if DK works on his bat speed a little more, he can be as destructive as AVD. Slower balls are his only challenge by far. Nevertheless, great innings. Happy to watch it. And of course, I know that Social Tracker is also going to be filled with everything to do with DK's performance. So quickly, let's dive into Social Tracker and find out what is everyone really talking about and what are the tweets we have out there. And I'm pretty sure Wasim Jaffer is also going to make one or two calls. There we go. He's opening the show for Social Tracker for us. Terrific fight back from Team India to level the series. Credit to Rishabh and Rahul Bhai for sticking with the same team throughout, despite a couple of losses at the start. Avesh, repeat the faith and how? Absolutely. Super Sunday ahead. Okay. Okay, we've already discussed this. If we can move on to the next one. Dinesh Karthik is making a story of his own. Brilliant batting. Okay, that's what we have over here. I come to you, Chirag, in terms of Dinesh Karthik's performance and the kind of reactions that everybody is giving. Is he a big yes for you for the T20 World Cup?
I mean, प्रत्यय ने बिल्कुल क्लियर कर दिया कि क्यों उनकी जगह बनती है और बिल्कुल बनती है दिनेश कार्तिक की जगह उन्होंने खुद को प्रूव करा है और आई मीन सबसे अच्छे टच में दिखाई दे रहे हैं कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको अभी देखो इंडियन बैटर्स ने जो टॉप ऑर्डर स्ट्रगल कर रहा था, तो दिनेश कार्तिक ने लोअर डाउन द ऑर्डर आकर रन्स बनाए। और अभी एमएस धोनी के बाद आई थिंक टीम इंडिया को चाहिए फिनिशर, और वो दिनेश कार्तिक अच्छे से रोल प्ले कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि आई मीन हार्दिक पांड्या हैं पर एक प्योर फिनिशर की जरूरत है, और वो दिनेश कार्तिक पूरा कर सकते हैं। तो T20 वर्ल्ड कप में दिनेश कार्तिक की जगह डेफिनेटली बनती है।
That's a huge responsibility to fill, especially, a cricketer like Dhoni has set the bar too high. But do you think, Pratyek, because for the longest time that role has definitely been, that spot rather, big question mark. Of course, at one point it was said that, Rishabh Pant and Ravi Shastri said, but he's someone who can still bat up the order, and he was backing Dinesh to do that, and that is the tag. Is it too soon to say it? What do you think it should be like? Is he, we can't say the next Dhoni, but is he the right person to
हाँ,
be filling in?
See, I think the reason why we compare Rishabh Pant and Dhoni, it's very easy because the kind of roles they play, both of them being wicket keepers, both of them being finishers. Now, if we see, him Rishabh captaining the side, then even that gets added on. But I still think that Dhoni. I mean, what kind of a legend he was. We all know what he has led India to, the success that he has as a finisher, as a batter, all of that. I mean, it would be very harsh on Rishabh Pant as well, and it would be a sort of a disservice, I think, to compare him so soon. But I think he has great potential. As I said, that in the Test format and even to an extent in the ODIs, I think that he has sort of. I mean, in the Test format, there's no doubt that Rishabh Pant is your first choice keeper. There's no one even coming close to him. But in the limited overs format, we know how destructive he can be. So there's no questioning on his ability to hit the ball. But even in the last 2 3 IPLs, if you see, the trend of his scoring, the pattern of his scoring, his strike rates have declined. And the reason for that is maybe that he has gotten the additional responsibility of leading, because of which maybe he has changed his style of play. But as I still said, that even in this lineup, if you are a part of it, you have to ensure at least that at this level you are not repeating those mistakes. Because I agree with there's a school of thought which says that he's very young, he's 24, he's 25, but I don't think there's anywhere written that if you are young you cannot learn. I mean, if you have gotten a chance to play as many games as probably someone goes on to play at the age of 28,
right.
why not use it to your advantage? So I think that the quicker he shows the understanding of the game, the better it would be for him. But there is no questioning his batting merit, because for someone who has gone on to score the kind of runs he has scored in the Australia series or in England, the 2018 series when he ended up scoring a century at the SCG, a player without batting merit cannot do that. So there is no question on his caliber. But now I seriously feel, I mean, because if you're talking about one thing that we might as well forget right now, because see, the lot of players who are being rested. तो आपके पास कोहली नहीं है, आपके पास रोहित नहीं है, इन कारणों से आप अभी शायद इस लाइनअप में आप पांड्या को भी खिला पा रहे हैं, आप रोहित को, आप ऋषभ को भी खिला पा रहे हैं, और आप दिनेश कार्तिक को भी खिला पा रहे हैं. बट देयर इज नो वे दैट ऑल थ्री ऑफ देम आर गोइंग टू बी स्लॉटेड इन योर वर्ल्ड कप टीम. All three of them do not have a place. So if it comes down to a shootout between Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant, at the moment we all know the answer to it. So for that to change, Rishabh Pant has to really up the ante. For that to change, Rishabh Pant has to really bring up his game, which in this series has not happened. Whether it can, that only is for time to tell. But I still feel that he has got a promising career ahead of him. So there's no one doubting his caliber at least.
All right, on the fact that we can wrap up the show on this note, that of course Rishabh Pant yet has to deliver in this particular series. But like I said, it's going to be a super Sunday. We're just hoping that rain. I mean, Bengaluru is definitely known for its amazing weather, but let's just hope that the rain does not spoil things on Sunday. We at Crick Tracker, of course, are going to be super excited to join all of you to find out what's going to be happening in this decider match. So don't forget to join us in Crick Tracker's special show in the air. Until then, of course, from all of us here, good night and take care.